All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is Saturday.
All day.
All day until tomorrow.
That's right.
Another beautiful day here in Kentucky. Got that there. Remember our last reading? We're in a three-part parallel, and we are talking about Jesus heals a bleeding woman and restores a girl to life.
Excuse me, I got choked. This is the second reading.
This is the second part of the parallel, and this is just a really big parallel, so that's why we're breaking it up.
Right.
Today we're in Mark chapter 5, starting at verse 21. Jesus got into the boat again and went back to the other side of the lake, where a large crowd gathered around him on the shore. Then a leader of the local synagogue, whose name was Jairus, arrived. When he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, pleading fervently with him. "My little daughter is dying," he said. "Please come and lay your hands on her. Heal her so she can live." Jesus went with him, and all the people followed, crowding around him. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with a constant bleeding. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors, and over the years she had spent everything she had to pay them, but she had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. So she heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him through the crowd and touched his robe, for she thought to herself, "If I can just touch his robe, I will be healed." Immediately the bleeding stopped, and she could feel in her body that she had been healed of her terrible condition. Jesus realized at once that the healing power had gone out from him, so he turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my robe?" His disciples said to him, "Look at this crowd pressing around you. How can you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But he kept on looking around to see who had done it. Then the frightened woman, trembling at the realization of what happened to her, came and fell to her knees in front of him and told him what she had done. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over." While he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. They told him, "Your daughter is dead. There is no use troubling the teacher now." But Jesus overheard them and said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just have faith." Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go with him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw much commotion and weeping and wailing. He went inside and asked, "Why all this commotion and weeping? The child isn't dead, she's only asleep." The crowd laughed at him, but he made them all leave, and he took the girl's father and mother and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. Holding her hand, he said to her, "Talitha koum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And the girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. They were overwhelmed and totally amazed. Jesus gave them strict orders not to tell anyone what had happened, and then he told them to give her something to eat. And now the commentary. Jesus went back across the Sea of Galilee, probably landing in Capernaum. Jairus was the leader of the local synagogue, responsible for supervising worship, running the weekly school, and caring for the building. Many synagogue leaders had close ties to the Pharisees. It is likely, therefore, that some synagogue rulers had been pressured not to support Jesus.
It's going to be a minute. We've got a tractor.
Yeah.
Followed by a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, we got tractors.
So.
Yeah.
This is a country life.
The country life here, so it goes.
It's nice to do the study outside, though.
Yeah. I'd rather have that than cop cars running with their sirens all day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
For Jairus to bow before Jesus was a significant, perhaps daring act of respect and worship. This woman had a seemingly incurable condition causing her to bleed constantly. This may have been a menstrual or uterine disorder that would have made her ritually unclean. And that's found in Leviticus 15, verses 25 through 27, and excluded her from most social contact. She desperately wanted Jesus to heal her, but she knew that her bleeding would cause Jesus to become unclean under Jewish law if she touched him. Sometimes we feel that our problems will keep us from God, but he is always ready to help. no matter how impossible the problem seems to us. We should never allow our fear to keep us from approaching him. And now I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. It was virtually impossible to get close to Jesus, but one woman fought her way desperately through the crowd in order to touch him. As soon as she did, she was healed. What a difference between the crowds who are curious about Jesus and the few who reach out and touch him.
Bless you.
Today, many people are vaguely familiar with Jesus, but nothing in their lives is changed or bettered by this passing acquaintance. It is only faith that releases God's healing power. Move beyond curiosity. Reach out to touch Christ in faith. That touch will change your life forever. Jairus' crisis made him feel confused, afraid, and without hope. Jesus' words to Jairus in the midst of a crisis speak to us as well. Don't be afraid, just have faith. In Jesus, there is both hope and promise. The next time you feel hopeless and afraid, look at your problem from Jesus' point of view. Then don't be afraid, just have faith. Loud weeping and wailing were customary in a person's death. Lack of them was the ultimate disgrace and disrespect. Some people, usually women, made mourning a profession and were paid by the dead person's family to weep over the body. On the day of death, the body was carried through the streets, followed by mourners, family members, and friends. The mourners laughed at Jesus when he said, "The child isn't dead, she's only asleep." The girl was dead, but Jesus used the image of sleep to indicate that her condition was temporary and that she would be restored. Jesus tolerated the crowd's abuse in order to teach an important lesson about maintaining hope and trust in him. Today, most of the world laughs at Christ's claims. When you are belittled for expressing faith in Jesus and hope for eternal life, remember that the unbelievers don't see from God's perspective. For a clear statement about life after death, see 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 and 14. Jesus not only demonstrated great power, but he also showed tremendous compassion. Jesus' power over nature, evil spirits, and death was motivated by compassion. For a demon-possessed man who lived among the tombs, a diseased woman, and a family of a dead girl, the rabbis of the day considered such people unclean. Polite society avoided them, but Jesus reached out and helped. So just judging that, so I wonder if when this woman was going through the crowd, it doesn't say anything about it, it's just that she had to press through the crowd, and she knew that if she touched Jesus, he would be unclean.
Right.
So what about everybody that she touched on the way in to see him?
Probably the same.
So now, were they all repulsed? Did they back away from?
I would say probably.
You know, because I believe from what we think we've read before, when somebody is unclean, like especially the lepers,
they have to yell,
they have to,
unclean.
so that nobody says, so that nobody touches them or gets close to them. So.
And I can understand. And we don't know, it's all speculation. There's a lot of traffic today. I'm sorry for the pauses, but it's just speculation on our part. But what I would assume would be that because she was trying to sneak in, she may have foregone the yelling of unclean, unclean.
Yeah.
But if anyone had saw her, they would have definitely shunned her. Because they would have known that she was ceremonially or whatever unclean. So they would have, that's something that they would have known. So I would have.
We've got all kinds of noise today.
So I would just assume that she didn't yell it because she was trying to sneak in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got a lot of distractions and we're running up on our time limit here. So
sorry, guys.
Hope everybody has a glorious day anyway, and we'll talk to you later.